Good morning and welcome to the Rewind Show, the Sunday supplement 235. I'm Steve Brown, and over there, not drowned like a rat like he was yesterday afternoon, Brent Peters. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm all right. I'm dried off.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I saw you coming off that pitch yesterday. Dear oh dear, mate. It absolutely bucketed it down. But I've got to say, how well did that pitch hold up?
Yeah, it pitched it well. It's funny because when I were leaving our ground to go to their ground, to go to the game, my phone calls and it were my old friend Warren Dodd from Irlam. From Irlam. And he said to me, I'm just giving you the heads up. We've had a bit of a pitch inspection. There's a lot of rain about. He said, we've just had a pitch inspection. He said, I'm sure it'll be all right. He said, but there's a lot to come this afternoon. And he said, it's down to the match referee now if it goes ahead. And obviously, when I got there, the pitch didn't look like it needed a pitch inspection. It were brilliant. But I said to him, well, I hope it is off. And he said, what do you mean? I went, well, I hope it is off. He said, because we're due to travel to blinking Jericho Lane on blinking Wednesday night in Liverpool. I said, and the last place I want to go on a Wednesday night is Jericho Lane. I'd sooner be coming to you in Manchester. Anyway, when we got there, I was amazed. The pitch was held up really, really well.
Yeah. But after, everyone was absolutely soaking. I think it stopped briefly for about 5 minutes, but it was just a torrential downpour, wasn't it, all afternoon?
Shocking. I mean, the kit bag, seriously, after we'd watched the first half of the United game and I'd left all the kit packed up in the kit bag, and I've gone back in the changing rooms after to leave. The guys come in to unlock the door for me and to take the kit bag off the blinking physio bag.
Needed two
I was thinking it were you needed blinking two of us. You were idiots. Seriously, we're blinking absolute ton weight. And they're a ton weight. There must have been half at blinking River Irwell in my blinking trainer.
Well, there was no way last night you were going to Morrison's and watching them tumble dryers go around. That is for sure.
Seriously, there were no chance. It were on the agenda, believe me. But what I did, I came home. I run my own at home, so I came home and I went to the outside facility I have and a sink in there, and I filled it up with cold water.
Yeah.
And I threw all the shirts in there to soak all night with Oxy, the stay white stuff, whatever they call it. You know what I mean? And let it soak all night there. But and I promised the players, I said, listen, I've been under the pump all week, but I promise you, while you're dancing the night away in Manchester or whatever you're doing tonight, I'll make sure that what's due to you will get put in your bank. But when I got in and I finished doing that, and I got in the bath, a red hot bath, and then I come downstairs, and next thing a load of Zeds are going. I'm getting flat out. That's me. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have to do it today now. But no, it were a tough day. When I mean a tough day, I mean a tough day weather-wise. I mean, you saw what it was like at Man United, for those who watched the game. I mean, we were just across the road. We're playing across the road from Man United. We're only like, not that far away, so you can tell.
3 miles away,
yeah, exactly. And it was shocking. I don't think there's been a day like that. I mean, it must have been that bad. Around where I live, it's just said that there's several road closures because trees have come down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it were bad.
What kind of week you had, mate?
Horrendous.
Horrendous.
No, believe me, seriously. Listen, we live for football, don't we? Let's be honest. That's we all do. And it started last Saturday, where from the first half where we did really, really well, positive performance. We come out at half time, just after half time, and it was a car crash.
Yeah.
Why? You know, we've seen the video, we spoke to players. There's obviously a mental blockage at times. You know, it's obviously got to be a mentality problem situation. But, you know, fair credit to our opponents last week. They absolutely put us to everything. The 8 went in. And we were one of them games. Sometimes you get them and you've just got to put it behind you and brush yourself down and go. But that set off the week, really, because it ended up on I get a phone call late Sunday afternoon that one of my vehicles had broken down, which is always when you're dealing with anything mechanical, it can always happen. So we to try and get that sorted. So Monday morning, I had to go into the FedEx depot for 6 o'clock, which I weren't happy about, but I had it to do. So I goes into the FedEx depot, and from that, we're having to sort out. We're a van down, so I've got to rally the troops and hopefully, you know, like get them motivated, because we've then got to put basically 2 runs on one van, which isn't easy in itself, but equally, lads can have a bit of a moan. But you know what? I've got to say this: I've got a good team on at the minute, and you know, they realise that if there's setbacks, they've just got to dig in, and it's like a team. It's like football team. They've got to dig in and they've got to do the bit, and they did do the bit. And I've got to say, Martin were on holiday in Turkey, so he weren't there to coordinate things. So Nick Fowles took that on board, and I've got to say that Nick Fowles did a very, very good job as well, because, you know, as long as they're not pecking my head and pestering me every few minutes with what I've got going on, that's all I ask. And, you know, they all picked the baton up and ran with it. But the issue I had was, and then unfortunately, the mechanic tells me it's not going to be on road for a few days, which that were a problem. Well, you think it shouldn't be a problem, but it were a problem, because then I've got to get a hire van. That's in itself is all right, not a problem. You can get an hire van, but when the lad who's driving it is under 25 and he's got 6 points on his license,
insurance becomes a problem.
Insurance becomes an issue. So it comes to a situation where everybody's like refusing him. No, we can't insure him. No, we can't insure him. No, you can't have a van. You can't have that. You know, he can't drive it. And I'm thinking, blinking heck. You know, I feel like putting a tin hat on and nutting wall. So basically, I had that setback. Then I had a meeting scheduled for 10 o'clock with the depot manager. So I had to go into that. Then I had to come out to the meeting with the depot manager and then try and sort this issue out. Then I got a speed awareness course I'd got to go on, which so I had to lock myself. As you know, I've not got an office at the minute with everything that's going on at the club, so I had to lock myself into a car park in Bacup and sit in car. And you're not supposed to have anybody in. Well, obviously, Deborah's, it's her office as well. So she's in back in car, I'm in front, and I'm hiding. I'm having to have my phone on the thing, because it says on, you're not supposed to have anybody in the room with you. So this guy's on the thing, he said to me, "You look like you're in a vehicle there." And I went, "Yeah." I said, "I'm at work." I said, anyway, and he's going, "Well, you can't be behind the wheel." So I had to get out of the car and sit in passenger seat.
Blaming heck.
Seriously, I had to sit in. So I sat in that on a speed awareness course, sat in my car on Morrison's car park, right, for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Listen, I should knock it, because it is what it is. I mean, there were some good points on it, to be fair. You know, it does save you getting 3 points on your license.
There's things you forget, aren't there?
Yeah, there is.
I went to one about 2.5, 3 years ago, and you'd be surprised how many things you forget. Yeah,
you're 100%, 100%. But it was just funny how we were all like, and then they saying, signal weren't the best, and then my phone's red hot. That's another thing. So every time somebody's trying to ring me, you know, it's knocking me off. So I'm quickly having to like press my blinking coding to get back in, knock it off, and then go back on. Yeah. Because he's saying to me, well, he's not just saying it to me, he's saying it to everybody. If I can't see you, you're off the course. That's it. If I can't see you, that's
Correct.
it. You're off. You know, I've got to be able to see you. So first time somebody rang me saying to me, Brent, I can't see you. Where are you? So I'm like there, scrabbling about, trying to get off the thing and get back on it. Anyway, I managed to get through 3 hours, and
so Monday was total carnage.
And then after that, bless her, Deborah had an appointment in Liverpool at the cancer hospital, and I had to take then Deborah had a late appointment where she had a 1-to-1 with a surgeon.
Yeah.
So then I had to go to Liverpool. So from a 6 o'clock start in the depot, carnage all day, I've then got to go to Liverpool, and then there were a little bit more. I won't say bad news. I think it's positive news to me, but Deborah will look at it's bad news. He's made a decision that he wants to. Everything's going to plan. Touch wood, but he needs to do some more surgery, which obviously that's a tough, bitter pill, a tough one to swallow, because it's not us facing it, it's Deborah. And what will that be? Six operations in space of like thinking 8 months or something like that. He just wants
to make sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all He's just, I mean, everything touch woods. I look at it, it's a positive. People can look at it, it's a negative. I don't. I look at it, it's a positive, because he's kind of said, we've got it, don't think anything, we've got it with it is. He said, you're an amazing person, because you're keeping strong. A lot of people have wilt under all this, what you're having to have done. But we've got it, it's localised, we're dealing with it. And that's all good, yeah. So so that was the end of a blinking to hear that she's got to go in to have some more surgery, and you think, blimey, you know what I mean? It get it? It's got to get better somewhere along the line. So you go through the week like you do, as like everybody does. You go through the week. You've got hiccups. Then there's another hiccup that comes partway through the week, because we had a driver a few weeks ago that did something naughty. He took a van without permission. He's no longer with me now, and then he comes back the morning after, and he has to open up to me and tell me that he caught a parked car outside somebody's house. And we're in modern day. Everybody has cameras everywhere. I said, you can't leave the scene of an accident, basically. You need to go and knock on the man's door, and you need to tell him that you were in a van yesterday, last night, and you've caught his car, but it won't be covered by insurance because I ain't give you permission to drive that van.
No, so you have to pick up the bill.
So you've got to pick up the bill, but unfortunately, he never did that. I mean, he's no longer working for me now, but he never did that. He said he'd done it. So what did they do? They contacted our insurance, and because he actually is, even though he didn't have permission, it created a problem for me. So then I found myself on Wednesday having to deal with this blinking problem that I could do without dealing, which are all hinged on, again, insurance. It was just madness through somebody being indisciplined in. And this is what you get. That's
before you even start thinking about playing football.
Correct. So that they were training Wednesday night. I didn't even see a player. I happened to just speak to my coaches through the window of my car outside the ground, because he trained on Bacup Borough. And so then what happens is when Saturday comes, this is what we're about, aren't we? When Saturday comes, I've had an horrendous week. Let's just hope that the lads can kick on and we can do the business today, because that's what I live for. I mean, that's it. I mean, we can have setbacks along the way, but when the lads do the business on a Saturday and we pick 3 points up or we progress in the cup, I'm over the moon. So all the pressures.
We spoke yesterday on the way home briefly. You called me, and we do live for the weekend, for the games. We want a positive performance, and I thought, the result wasn't what we wanted, but the performance was massively improved from last week, Brent. Massively.
I thought so. I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't disappointed.
I saw you going off at the end, and you had a smile on your face, because I think you were happy the lads would give you a response from last week.
Yeah, that's massively important. You know, I mean, yeah, we're all winners. We all want to win, but you're not going to win. You know, you're not going to win every game. It is what it is.
We
I
didn't
mean,
have the run, did we? We didn't. Things weren't running for us.
listen, if we didn't create chances, I'd be worried. But we're
Yeah.
creating chances. The issue we've got at the minute is
probably not as many chances as we're used to, though, Brent. If we're being
no,
honest.
We're probably not, but you've got to think about the last 2 games. Well, maybe the last 3 games we've played good, really good sides. You know, very good sides. And again, in those games that we've played, you've got to think. You know, even forget the look. It was just for me. It were
a freak.
Not taking anything away, but a freak result with the Droylsden situation. Even David Pace recognised it when he come and shook me and he said, "Blinking at Brent, everything with it.
Everything they touched turned to gold."
It just, exactly. But listen, they can live on that. They can live on that, you know, for the next few weeks. That's credit to, you know, fair credit to them. We'll have a game like that where we'll just go on. Everything will go in for us. At the minute, it's not. You know, we've got. I mean, it's funny. Let me tell you. This will just put it in a nutshell.
Well,
so as you know, I've got David May's nephew playing for us.
Yeah.
So David's been in touch and, you know, talking to me through WhatsApp. And after the game yesterday, I mean, we spoke briefly at the game because he was there watching. And he sent me a text. And I hope the players who were, because it's not me saying this, these words that I'm going to tell you now have come from an well experienced defender, you know, that had a good career at Blackburn Rovers before a great career at Manchester United, where he was a treble winner. You know, he's played under top managers and he knows the game. And the one thing he said to me, and I'll quote this, this is in a text message last night. Where's he put it? In a text message, and these are his words, they're not my words. "Thought we was unlucky today, pal. Their keeper pulled some very, very good saves off. But one thing I will say, we gave the ball away far too easy and not under any pressure.
Yeah.
Possession is the key."
Yeah.
Now, them are absolute fantastic words, and my players should listen to them words, because if we go back to the Nelson game, I've been and it probably cost him his starting position yesterday. What have I been moaning about in that Nelson game when I said in a tight game where it were nil, I could not see us losing that Nelson game unless we did
sloppy passes and ball retention.
Yeah, but he's made a decision. It weren't a sloppy pass. It was the wrong decision. He's had 2 players running off him. He had the space to go into to attack it, and he's decided to whip his blinking, to put his foot through the ball, and it's a diagonal from left side of the pitch to the right side of the pitch. Try and hit one player when he's got 3 Nelson defenders in that area, and he's trying to hit one player. It's dropped short, and Nelson have broke, and from that situation, Nelson have scored.
Yeah.
So, irrespective, them quotes there from David May is exactly that leads to that.
Mm.
We gave the ball away far too easy and not under pressure. Possession is the key. Yeah. So if he keeps possession in that moment and doesn't, it's a stupid ball, the chances are we don't lose that game, that goal, and we don't lose that game.
But it's funny how David's talking about this in a game afterwards, yesterday's match, and the rest of the team are doing exactly the same, giving the ball away too cheaply.
Yeah, because what they're thinking, they want to look good, and they're thinking, I want to look like spectacular. I'll hit the spectacular ball when the blinking short pass will do.
Yeah,
and it's madness. And this is
even if you have to recycle the ball and go back and start again.
Correct, 100%. So for David, who didn't watch us against Nelson, obviously watched us yesterday at Irlam. For him to say that and identify it, this is what that were prior to my team talk yesterday before the game.
Yeah.
I talked about it. Exactly that. We're giving the ball away too cheap. We're making the wrong decisions. I mean, it happened yesterday several times. I mean, I remember Ty Williams trying hitting one from left side of the pitch to right side of the pitch. They're either dropping short or they're over it.
Yeah.
You follow me? Instead of just keeping up, even if you've got to go
10 yards.
Exactly. Even if you've got to go back and start again and come out the other way, but to try and hit a blinking 50-yard pass, 40-yard pass, 30-yard pass that's either over it, under it, and then the player, if it's flying through the air, has got to get it down and blinking control the damn thing. And by the time he's controlling it, they're hitting him.
If you look at Irlam's game, very much so. They were positive on keeping possession, weren't they? Where they would play it back and play through the defence and then work it to the opposite side. But at least they had the ball and made us do all the running.
Well, they did at the beginning. I mean, I weren't happy. One of the things that I've talked about in the last, I keep going on about it in the midfield area, and it's been a topic that's even raised its head at Manchester United in terms of, after last week's game against City, where Hernandez were playing a number 8 and everybody's in meltdown. He's not a number 8. He can't do this out of possession. He doesn't track a man and all that. Look, in the midfield, let's cut away from the chase and let me explain this. In the midfield, and we'll talk about it when you've got a scenario where you've got 3 players in midfield and it's against 3 players. They've got 3 players, you've got 3 players. Now, let's talk about this scenario. In midfield, there are in the team, there are different calibers of players, different types of players, particularly in midfield. In midfield, you can have a midfield full of technically gifted players that are very, very good on the ball when you've got the ball and you're attacking and creating, right? When you lose the ball, right, the players who are technically very good might not be the best at trying to win a ball.
Yeah.
So what happens is, and they might also not be blessed with pace, athleticism.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do as a player, if you're a player, you've got to manage your situation. As a player yourself, you've got to manage it. We don't manage. We can't manage it. You've got to manage it. Why would you, if you haven't got a recovery run, a sprint in you to get back, right? Why would you go in to a really advanced position, right, when you can't get back? Because when we lose the ball, or when any team loses the ball, there becomes a situation where the opposition then have now got the ball and they'll break on you.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to race them and you're coming second best in a race, they're going through the midfield like the knife going through butter. And then before you know where you are, they're running at the defence, which is the last thing you want them to do.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do as a manager, you've got to try and get the balance right. Now, it's sometimes difficult because what you're doing, you have to leave very, very good players out that can unlock doors. So to get the balance right. Now, previously, I've been playing with, I would say, 2 technically gifted players in the 3-man midfield, and only 1 real ball winner.
Yeah.
Now, that's been a recipe for a disaster in my eyes, and I've analysed that. And that's why I made the changes I made yesterday. If you looked at it yesterday, I went with 2 more ball-winning players.
Yeah, 2 battlers and one kind of creative player.
And 1 creative player. So you've got to get that chemistry right. But then what happens is the creative player who I put in, and out of all the debates that me and my two coaches have had, we were agreeing on everything, but one of the coaches was I wouldn't say didn't agree, but he kind of knew, and that this is how it actually came, how it happened. The player that I went for and opted to go with, because I think I was still smarting over the other player doing what he did against Nelson, and also he gave the ball away cheaply in first pass he did against Royalston, right? It cost him his starting position yesterday, and I went for the other player. Now, when we were having a debate, I have to become judge and jury. So obviously, my coach, which is what I like, he'll put the points there for a player that I'm thinking of leaving out, and I'll listen to the points, and I agree with his points, but then there's a but. But why did he not attack that space at Nelson when he could have attacked it? Right? Yeah. Why did he not play that ball when he's two options at the side of him? And if he attacks that space, he will still have them options because they were with him, and the picture would have changed and opened up. Yeah. Why does he decide to put his foot through and send out to the far end of the pitch against? Let me finish. Okay. Against all odds, right? And he puts that ball in there, and it gets cut out by a Nelson defender, who then goes on plays the ball, who then the player who executed the cross-come shot scores a goal, and we're losing the game. So in that situation, I feel like he needs his ass kicking and frigging coming out the team, because this other player, right, didn't play against Nelson. We didn't play him. We give him a rest, right? And we played him against Royalston. He came off against Royalston, but when he came off, that wasn't for bad play. It was more for he took a bit of a battering and he was struggling. He got a knock, right? That's the reason why we took him off. Now then, when it come to being a toss-up, which one we go for, it was a chicken and an egg situation. I get what Ryan was saying to me, and I endorse that, but I threw. Like I said, I was playing judge and jury. Yeah. So I threw things back at him, right? And inevitably, one of the things that Ryan said would happen by playing the player that I started, he said he will not stay high up the pitch and be near Connor, right? No. He will drop deep and deep. He'll be dropping deep, right? Now then, I at that point said, well, it's up to you as coaches to make sure you tell him and make sure he does stay in them areas, because that's your job. You're the coach. So you have to tell him. He won't do it unless you tell him. And we're not talking about an inexperienced player here. We're talking about an experienced player. So what happens is, I can't tell you whether they told him or not. But when we started that game yesterday, it was driving me mad, because the funny thing I didn't realise that this player was at Irlam. I was walking off the pitch. Next thing, blinking Pat comes on me back. How are you, pal? And I went, turn around, and it's Kingsley Williams. Now, Kingsley Williams played for me. I was the first club that Kingsley came to when he got released from Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Terrific lad and a terrific footballer, let me tell you. Now, Kingsley, since he's left there, and Kingsley were in that team and that part of that squad when Daniel Cox were there, and, Matty Bryan and players of that ilk, and he was in the squad and in the team that we got to the final of the Lancashire Challenge Cup at the Reebok at Bolton Wanderers against AFC Fylde. And he, like I said, he's an excellent player. And let me tell you, when before we brought Kingsley into Bacup, I was at the trials with Andy Hill, and the chief scout of Sheffield United, who was there, turned round to us and said that kid should not be playing in them trials matches. He said he's been at Sheffield since whatever age. He said it's politics why he's playing in these, why he's been released. He said because he's always been, since he's been at Sheffield United, he's played above himself every year at every level and more than handled it. Right? Yeah. He should be signing. He should be getting a pro contract. It's politics. I'm telling you. Right? He was telling me and Andy L. He said it's politics. He said he shouldn't be there, and he was a terrific player, right? And from leaving Bacup, he went on. I think he's captain Radcliffe Borough. He's captain Radcliffe Borough. He's played at Whitton Albion. He's played at clubs higher, and he was at Widnes in that team that ended up folding at the start of the season. So he's dropped on, obviously, to Irlam. Now, when I knew that he were playing, Kingsley were playing, I just know what Kingsley's about. He's a clever player. He's a clever player. Now, my point is, if Kingsley's dropped right onto the back line to receive the ball, why is the midfield player who's playing against him drop deep in our art? But that means they've an overload in their defensive area. He's got on the ball, and he's that good that he picks passes and he gets them going. He's pulling their strings. So what you've got to do, you've got to be switched on with Kingsley. You've got to be up with him. You've got to be tight on him. You've got to do a job on him, and you've got to stop that. So if he's dropped deep onto their back line, that for me tells me that we've got a license to throw an extra man forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what Ryan were telling me, what Gervin wouldn't do, he didn't do. And it was driving me mad. So, obviously, at half-time, I didn't mess about. I took him off.
Yeah.
Because
we were quite surprised. You didn't mess about, Brent. You made a double substitution at half-time. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Connor weren't feeling right with his ankle. So I weren't messing about with that. I weren't giving him 10 minutes or anything. He weren't feeling right. So if you're not feeling right, you come off. But the Michael Gervin one, I could have done it a lot sooner. I just turned around to Alan and said, "How long have we got till half time?" And he told me. I thought, well, we'll see the half out, and I'm going to do it. So it needs doing. And to be fair, and I've got to make a point of saying this. Listen. I've always said it before, the bench is massively important in any game. And I felt that yesterday, the players that come off the bench did what we asked them to do when they came off the bench. They did exactly that. And Ryan Siddall, I've got to say, he's come in, and what I'm talking about now, about getting amongst them and being physical, he did it. He did it. And he did it. And he did a job for us in there. He came off the bench. So I'm not saying that's going to cement his place in the starting lineup next game, but if he comes off the bench in the next game, he's got to do that again and again.
But Ryan, better than anyone that, at least he were laying a glove on Irlam.
Correct. That's all I asked for. We need a player, but we can't. What we can't have. There. Yeah, but because we've got so many good players, we've got to get it. We can't have three. You've got to have somebody that unlocks doors and is creative.
Culture.
You've got to have that in. So it has to be, out of the three players you've got to have, before it were two technically unlocked door players with one aggressor. Yesterday I went with two aggressors and one unlock the door. So one of the technical players had to sit out and come off the bench, right? It was just what, and that's why I think we were a lot, but we didn't get our distances. You get players that'll say, "My man's there." Yeah, but you're blinking not tight enough. You should be. Good players will just slip it round you around the corner. You're giving him enough space.
You want to be tight enough.
You need to be tight enough to smell the breath.
Where it don't become an option for someone to pass it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not. And they're saying, "Well, I've got me man, but it's not tight enough. You haven't got your distances right. Get tighter." I mean, I had a bit of a banter in the club after where Brady was stood with Alan, the coach, and was stood with Ryan, the coach, but they were in a huddle. So they were like just talking in a huddle. One weren't like freaking 5 yards off the other, and there were a big gap between them. They were together in a huddle. And I went to him, I went, Brady, that's tight as you've been all game.
Yeah.
Having said that, Brady did well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Brady. Brady did well.
He does a lot of running, that lad.
Yeah, he did well, did Brady. But what I'm trying to get my point across, the points I'm trying to make, that's what I call being tight.
That's how close you've got to be.
Yeah, throw a blanket over them.
Yeah.
You get me? But they step off and they get the distances a bit wrong. And then what's happening is good players, you pick you off. So the first 10 minutes of the game, 15, I'm screaming them, get tighter. They were kind of off a little bit, so we're picking them off a little bit going round us. But you know what? Away from all that, we set off. There's a disease. There's something in a minute, because we came out the second half against Droylsden, and within a minute, 2 minutes of the restart, we conceded, and then it became a car crash.
Yeah.
Within a minute, less than 5 minutes on the clock yesterday, from that game, next game we play.
2 minutes the first goal.
Freaking 2 minutes. But it were avoidable. And the reason why it were avoidable is because if the ball is in the air, it just needed somebody to head the ball, and it's going the other way. What happens is, Ty said to me at half time, he shouted. He said he were going. There were two players going for the same ball, which was Ty and Mason, right? And it ended up where they've both collided. Ty's got his eye on the ball. He's collided with Mason. Mason's on the floor. Ball's run loose, and it's a car crash. They scored. Now, I'm sorry, that wasn't good play from Flixton. That was bad play. Irlam. Keep saying Flixton. Irlam. That was bad play from Irlam, right? It was bad play from it was bad play from Bacup, sorry, rather than good play from Irlam. Because what should have happened there? It's a straight shout. If Ty's coming on it, whether he's got his eye on the ball or not, to go and head it, it's Ty's ball. Big shout and freaking head it away. But instead, it's like pussy, fanny, freaking whisper.
But no communication between the two.
Exactly. And
the position where it was, the position where the ball came, for me, that's Mason Fallon's all day long. Because Ty should just drop off.
Yeah, exactly. But he's come and wiped Mason out, and so they've both got in a bit of tizwas.
Wiped each other out.
And wiped each other out, and it's blinking dropped, and they scored, and you think, oh, blinking heck. But you know what? Listen, from that, it could have been a blinking thing. I'm telling you now that Irlam knew they were in a game.
Oh, of course.
I knew from their reaction when they were coming off at full time, right? I knew. They knew, and they were shocked, because they'd obviously seen the result the week before against Droylsden. They saw the result, and they're thinking, it's a blinking meal ticket, this. But they've got a shot, because it's not a meal ticket. We're a good side. But the trouble is, we as David May, not me, possession is key. He's blinking identified that, and he's only just watched us. Right? Because people trying to think that they're blinking some kind of player that's that good that they can start pinging balls all over the place to look good. No, you're making yourself look a complete prat.
Yeah.
Simple.
But I know yesterday's game, for me, and I know for you, because we spoke about it. Yes, we want to get through in the FA Vase. Yes, it's a few extra quid and it's the next round, but you just wanted a response. And you got a response from your players. Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, I thought, listen, we created some chances. If that shot of Connors goes in the first half, he's done everything right. He's gone across the keeper. The keeper's nowhere. But we're just not having lady luck at the minute. He's hit the post. We talked about one that Ollie did the week before against Drayton, where he's hit the post. It's just fine margins, because You know, if we respond back there at 1-0 down and we come back to 1 apiece, it's game on. That just gives us another blinking 20% in our mindset.
Yeah.
You know, but straight away we're still 1-0 down, and you're chasing. So we were in the game. There were chances created there. Keepers pulled us. I thought once we'd settled in, we had a good half. But again, we had a good half. Billy pulled a save off, which is, you know, it was going in the top corner. Let's not beat about the bush. We were playing a team, and I've looked at it this morning, that's played 11 games already this season. They've played 11 matches, right? And they've won 7 of them.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, right? They've won 7 matches.
You can see why their organisation and everything, and the way they pass the ball.
Yeah, won 7 games out of 11, right? And you know, Premier League side, and we've gone toe to toe. We've gifted them a goal because I'm sorry, we did gift them that first goal. It should have been an easy clearance up the pitch. Right, easy, but we said what we've said. It was bad between. I won't say it was bad on Mason's point because Ty's coming from behind him, but Ty should put a big. If Ty wants to win it and wants to do it, he's got to put a big shout so Mason Lincoln gets out of his way. But instead, he hasn't given a big shout, and it just clashed. But we've cranked ourselves back in the game, and I thought we were the one team, after that 1-0 deficit, we was knocking on the door. You know, we settled down and we started to play, and we was asking a few questions. The only real chance they had after was right at the end of that half when Billy, because if we go in there at 2-0 down, you know, I think it's game over we at that point.
Yeah.
You know, but Billy pulls a save off at that point, and we go in and we're 1-0 down, and we're buoyant at half time. You know, it was a good positive half from a bad start. But then we go out in the second half, and the same thing happened. We conceded within seconds of kicking off in the second half.
Well, I didn't see how it kind of materialised after the captain had floated one down the left-hand side. But the finish, you couldn't question the finish. That were brilliant.
Brilliant finish.
From that Johnson, number 10.
Wow, where's that come from? But what's happened is there's a bit of a misunderstanding again with the it weren't really, it should never have been it were not Jacob's man, you know, in theory. He was a central player, and he's drifted straight out into the channel. Now, at this point, there should have been communication. Now, Ty, I'm led to believe, had a man who was the nearest player to over that side. So he should have been shouting to Jacob, because I thought Jacob played quite well, to be honest, and I thought he'd give us a good option.
I thought he did well, especially going forward in the first half with them overlapping runs. Yeah,
good, and that's what he's been. But what's happened here is this is where the lack of communications come again. What's happened is that obviously you've got your man, you're playing at right full back, so usually you're obviously against their left-sided player, if you will. Yeah. So straight away he's stepped up a bit, you know, to get on the ball. There's a centre half on his inside. But what's happened is that player cleverly, I'm not saying he's called cleverly, he's not called cleverly, but cleverly, he ran into the channel.
Yeah.
Because he was a clever player. And when he runs into the channel and got on, the ball was zipped down to him, at that point,
he's got to be close down.
Jacob were out of the game because he were ahead of him. So what's happened is you've got to give him a bit of credit. The player in question, he was called John Johnson, right? I think he's even on the coaching staff, because I've had a look at that today, because I thought he was a very, very good player, right? He played with a lot of intelligence.
Yeah.
And he pulled off into that space and attacked that space, right? Attacked it, right? Now, I don't know, I need to see the video, but I think could tie. I know he had a man, but could tie a blinking come off. And I think if Joey Fallon had been in that position, Joey wouldn't have even bothered about his man. He'd have come out and freaking gone and closed him, right? And then somebody else would have had to take the other man. You get me? But obviously Ty didn't do this. Ty stuck with his man, so he's got a free rein because Jacob's higher, slightly higher. So the lad's gone down, but then he's cut inside, and what a finish! Blinking out. I mean,
question the shot.
Yeah, you were a great goal, but
and there's no chance Billy's stopping that.
So so my point is, and I'm not going to take anything different here than what I said to the players at full time. Do you give the lad John Johnson the credit for his intelligence, and he's found the space, and he's got into the space, and he's thinking, had that ball delivered to him, put into him. And again, our players should learn from this, because if it's Carl Siddall's dropping short because he wants it at feet. Yeah. That player didn't get it at feet. That player got it over the top in front of him to run onto.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's run onto it. The ball's been delivered over his top. He's ran onto it, cut inside and blinking, and bang, it's in. Now my point is there, is that do we try and criticise our defenders or do we give credit to the player for his intelligence and his finish?
I just give credit to the player because he's thinking he's 2 yards in front of us in the brain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so in some respects, I have to do the same. I have to credit that because I think most of the other players on the pitch wouldn't have executed that finish.
But as you said, all the subs you used yesterday, Brent, all did a fantastic job. Even Big Paul, you brought him on, and he brought out a fantastic save from their keeper down to his right-hand side.
Well,
no, so we did have chances in the second half.
He's got me thinking, because I said something in the changing room. I said, well, maybe we've got to. It's not going for us at the minute, and the reason why we don't tend to listen. I'm not here to knock people at the back, but when Billy's got the ball, sometimes whether it's a case of Billy don't want to give it them, or whether it's a case of people not showing, but Billy tends to kick long, and I don't think it does us any favours with this when we're kicking long. I've said it before, we need to get on the ball, but because we're kicking it long, I mean, I watched that goal last night that who run now that the ball again, it was a long kick from the keeper. I think it was Man United's first goal last night. It's a long kick from the keeper, right? It's gone thing, and then one of the strikers has headed it on, flicked on, and the runners run onto it, and then that's when he's finished. Well, that's when the goalkeeper got sent off from with that situation. But that's come from a long kick, right, from the United keeper. So it got me thinking a little bit, and it's the same with. And I said something to Paul Shalobi in the changing room at full time. And he went, I played up there. I could be a nuisance. And I think it's not a bad shout, really. But
he would be a nuisance.
He would be a nuisance up there. And you know what I mean?
And have someone playing off him.
Exactly. It has got me thinking a little bit, I'll tell you.
Target, man.
What at the minute, where the situation we're in, watch this space, because I think that might be something. It might be something worth considering. I thought the lads did do well, and even to the point, like Josh Wong were on a yellow, and normally you'd think about putting Tomo in midfield, but Tomo's such a clever player. And it's a shame when Tomo does these daft things, because he's oozing quality and he doesn't need to do what he does, right? But Tomo is a very, very good, intelligent player, and he can play anyway. So, like you say, like we brought Josh Wong off and we put Tomo in his position. But you see, because Tomo's an intelligent player, a bit like, not probably as well, off what I've seen, probably not as intelligent as that John Johnston, but on the same wavelength, because don't forget that movement that John Johnson did, we've just talked about it for that goal, the second one, where he's seen the space, he's pulled right out into that gap, he's got the ball delivered to him, right, and he's executed the finish. To be honest, Tomo's a bit like that. He finds space and finds gaps, and and doesn't necessarily stick to the.
Well, he did, didn't he? Because he was out on the right, because he took the place of Walney. But then he would make intelligent runs, and you'd find him coming into the middle and then drifting over to the left.
Yeah, exactly. He did well. He did well. I mean,
Which then creates space for Jacob May to hit that right-hand side because there's loads of space available.
Yeah. He did well. Listen, Tom. He did at the back of it when you just had, however it's come, a defeat, but a defeat where there's been a raining of goals for whatever reason. Everybody is scrutinised. Everybody, and you've got to. I said it before the game. One thing about me, I ain't blinking Ruben Amorim. I will make changes if it's not working.
Yeah, you're not standing still, mate.
I will make changes. I will get it because it's all about getting the chemistry right. Yeah. We're not a million miles off, but we're off because we've got key players missing in an area we don't really want. You think about it. The striker. We signed a striker that's got the right. So we signed a striker that's supposed to be challenging Toby Wright. Toby Wright's out injured. Still out injured. He's under a rehabilitation situation for his injury, so he's still out injured, right? Who's for the last few years has been our number one striker. What the players play off and his intelligence and he scores goals.
One of the top strikers in the league.
Correct, and we haven't had him because he's injured, and so that is obviously a problem. We sign a player to challenge him, but that player's injured and got a groin, and this is the mentality. I get a text. I told him, go on. You've got to use a telephone number. You need to go and see it. Won't go right on its own. You need to go and see this physio, right? I get a text because it's coming up to game day. He didn't train on Wednesday, but I get a text on the Thursday. I can't see that physio until the 22nd. This is what he put. I can't see that physio until the 22nd, but I want to be playing before then. Oh, well, I'm sorry, mate, but if you want to be playing before then, 22nd's only Monday, but if you want to be playing before then go to a different physio. We can get in earlier. It's what you want me to do, play you while you're injured. It was a stupid text message to me. Just if you can't get in until Monday, which is Monday, then and you want to play and be in contention for this weekend, then you've got to see a physio earlier. So get your telephone book out, get Google out, and Google physios. I've give you a physio I recommend. If he can't see until Monday, he can't see until Monday. But I ain't putting you in if you're not fit. You didn't even train on Wednesday. So what makes you think you're going to be fit?
Yeah.
You get me? It's mentality. Exactly. It's mentality. It's wrong mentality. But this is the type of thing I have to put up with. But what I'm trying to get at is I've picked. He's there to challenge Toby Wright. So we've now got Toby Wright out injured. And we've got Jamani out injured, who's challenging him. Conor Morris has come back in, so Conor Morris, would normally be the one that plays off your striker, but we've been giving him the number 9
role as such, yeah.
And in 2 games that he's played, or should I say 1.5 games he's played, he scored 1.5 games. We can't say 2 because he come off at half time. In 1.5 games that he scored a goal, right? A goal, right? But he scored. His averages are there, Previous to that, we've ran with a great kid who's going to be a big player. He's only 18. He's earned himself a contract. Last year he came off the bench most games and scored goals from the bench. This year we've given him his head. He's done really well. He's learning. He's getting there, but he doesn't. It just so happens he's not got the breaks. It works that way.
Yeah,
you know,
getting himself into some fantastic positions.
Correct, but he doesn't broke for him. So, and if you analyse what happened again yesterday, it isn't breaking for the team.
Yeah,
It's not just him. I mean, Kyle's, who's relevantly experienced now. Kyle's gone through and he's pulled a blinking. He's hit the bar. The keeper did the keeper pushing onto the bar in the second half.
He tipped it onto the bar.
He's tipped it onto the bar. So a good save from the keeper. So again, it's not just breaking for us where it should be breaking for us. But it will do eventually. We've got to keep just going and believing. But me as a manager, I don't sit still. I've got to think of other ways to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Help them to make it happen. Now, if that means doing something totally different than we've ever done before and just to see how it goes, then maybe that's something we've got to look at. But
what I wanted to talk about, Brent, really, sorry for interrupting. I had the team sheet and, this show's about talking to supporters and letting people know what's going on at the club. But I'm looking at the team sheet and I'm thinking, right, from the previous week, I'm looking for Callum Hewitt on that team sheet. Now, I'll let you tell us where's Callum, because Lincoln's odds, he would have been in your squad for yesterday, without a doubt. In fact, I'd go as far to say he'd probably be on the pitch.
100%. Listen.
So where is he?
Well, I'm going to tell you, but I've got to be careful with him because look, I love Callum to bits. He's a great lad. And he's one of the few leaders that you have in the changing room. He's a leader in the changing room, and he went with the shadow squad a few weeks ago, and he led. Even though Malachi were taking the shadow squad, he was the one that led. Because he's got that in him. But it's not just about this season. I even go back to the last few seasons, and I made a comment last season, and the comment I made were, I don't think some of these players are hungry enough to be able to take us where we want to be. And by this, what I'm saying about where we want to be, it goes without saying that we want to take Bacup back into the Premier League. I mean, don't forget, I've took Bacup Borough. I got, 50 after 56 years of hurt. I guided Bacup up to the Premier League previously, and we stayed in the Premier League for a good 8 years, and did very, very well. And we only ended up going out to the Premier League on the skin of our teeth. It was on the. I always remember it. We were, and don't forget, we're a club where we've had some fantastic players, but we haven't got, fantastic money. We just look after people in different ways, and give them plenty of honesty. And so I think we've punched above our weight a lot, and we ended up losing our Premier League status. I remember it as though it were yesterday. Barnolds could stop playing. They hadn't played. They'd finished. Their season were over, and they were down near the bottom. And we were still playing, and it were in our hands. And all we had to do, we had to win the last game of the season at Ashton Athletic. And we were winning the game up to late on in the game. And I always remember it. Matty Bryan lost possession deep in our half near the edge of the box, and he lost possession, and from that situation they went on and equalised. We didn't lose the game, we drew 1-1, but that 1-1 wasn't enough to keep us up. If we win that game, we stay up, and Barnoldswick go down, but we didn't, we drew, and so it ended up we went down and Barnoldswick stayed up. So it's my job, as much as we've had great cup success, you know, and I can't knock them and take that away from them. We've had great cup success, but it goes without saying that the one thing I need to do is get us back into that Premier League.
Yeah.
We've got to be back in that Premier League. And the only way we're going to get back in that Premier League is having the players with the right mindset and mentality. And what I mean by the right mindset and mentality is we understand football is a game where you're going to pick injuries up. We understand that. That's part of the game. We understand that you're going to pick yellow cards up, which is going to lead to suspensions. We understand that. But other than that, availability, when you're recruiting, availability is the key.
Key component.
You've got to have players available at your disposal. You have to have them. And Callum comes into that bracket, right? You build a side, and he's a player that'll be in your team. Now he's no different to any other player. That if he's not on it, or if he's been injured and he's coming back from injury, he has to do what all the other players have to do. He's no different. He has to go through the shadow squad. He has to wait for his opportunity to come back in and do. Everybody else has had to do it yesterday, you know, which is great for me. You know, good news. Alex Miller's been out all these weeks and keeps breaking down. Yesterday, he trained on Wednesday, and yesterday he went with the shadows. It's better for Alex Miller rather than sit on a bench and get an odd 5 minutes here and an odd 10 minutes there, or 15 minutes. He's better off being in the shadow squad, right? And getting matches, so he's match sharp. He's getting up to match speed in a game, right? So yesterday, which was fantastic for me, you know, having Alex back in terms of he went to play for the shadow squad. Now, he didn't only just play for the shadow squad. I've been tending to give because we've nobody that I feel is right for taking the shadow squad. So I've been giving it senior players to take ownership, which I think is a good thing. And yesterday, you know, Alex Miller took ownership, and I'll let Alex Miller take ownership. So I'm ever so grateful to Alex, and I'm ever so grateful to his dad and his family, because I went to their house yesterday morning, dropped all the stuff off, and his dad were ever so helpful and you know, fully supportive and everything, which is fantastic, and I really, really appreciate it. And Alex obviously is gone, but Alex is a first team player, and Alex will be back with us, and you know, but he just needs games. Don't forget, he's been out. He's had a tough pre-season. He's broke down in pre-season. He's not had any football, so he has to go. But he has to just bide his time. But he's now playing, and sooner or later he'll be back with us, like we've had to do with Ryan Siddall, like we've done with Mason Fallon. They both played a part yesterday, so he's no different, and neither is Callum Hewitt. Now, what's happened is, and so the simple fact is that when you're getting messages, I get, you know, listen, but holidays, if you want to play football and you want to play, this is not amateur level. If you want to play at amateur level, if you want to do things that you do, if you want to be here 1 week and don't be here week after, then go and play amateur, because that we can't be in them situations.
You can get away with that week in, week out at amateur level.
Yeah, but you can't at our level. It's you want. I mean, I don't get my head round why people keep booking. I mean, there's holidays and there's holidays. I don't think Callum is booking. I just get random texts and saying, "I'm just letting you know, Brent, I'm away again this week. I'll be available next week or whatever." And this has been going on for the last few weeks. Now, listen, it's his life, it's his thing, and I get it that when you're busy, like Callum's busy, you know, like he has his work, what puts the bread on the table, but he's also doing a job that trying to build an entrepreneurial professional, where he's buying and selling property and investing and doing that. So I get that his time, and then trying to play football. So I get his time is limited. So I understand that obviously your time's limited. So if you've got a relationship, which Callum has, he's got a relationship. He's also got to keep a lovely young girl, sweet, because obviously he's got to. It's just part of growing up and part of life, isn't it? This is what you've got to do. Yeah. But if you've got to do it, but then you can't be, at a club that's ambitious, that wants to do well, because you're a big player. So the fact of the matter is, if you sat down with a player like Callum in the summer and you said to Callum, right, what do you want out of football, Callum? What do you want? I want to be in a team. I'll guarantee he would say this. I want to be in a team that want to fight for each other every week. I want to be in a team that fight for each other. I want to be in a team that obviously is winning more than we're losing, and we're challenging for honours, and I want to win things. Right. Music to my ears, Callum. You're singing from the same song sheet as me.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's turn the pages over. Right. A season starts here. And when you start that season, within the first week or 2 weeks that kick in, the FA Cup kicks in. Yeah. Now, okay, at step 6, it didn't used to be like this, but it is now. At step 6, you're not in the FA Cup. But let's take it, you are in the FA Cup. It still kicks in the first 2 weeks of a football season.
Yeah.
FA Cup is lucrative to every club that's in it, because obviously you get prize money, but it's the lucrativeness of being involved in the FA Cup. Equally, you're not just involved in the FA Cup. You don't know where that's going to lead you and take you, because you see it every year, and it'll happen again this year in another couple of weeks. BBC will be televising it, and there'll be some giant killing team that's in there and had a run in the FA Cup to that point where the big guns start to come in. So the FA Cup kicks in the first couple of weeks in the season. So it's massively important. Equally, in the first few weeks of the season, the FA Vase kicks in. FA Vase, if you speak to every player on the planet and say, what would your lifetime ambition be in terms of football? And I know you might have a pipe dream that you might want to play for Burnley one day, or you might want to play for City or United or Liverpool. Take that away. But what is your lifetime ambition, in terms of football? Where would you like to play? They would say, if they're in the real world, they'd say, love to play at Wembley, love to walk out at Wembley, savour the atmosphere of a cup final at Wembley. Right. Well, the only time you can do that, right, is by winning or progressing in the FA Vase.
Yeah.
That is the only way you're going to do that, right? Now, the FA Vase kicks in the early part of the season.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm trying to build up here to is a picture. So next thing is, as you know, next week, we're in the Macron Cup. So we're now at the end of September, and we'll be playing at home against AFC Blackpool in the Macron Cup. Again, cup competitions come in at the start of a season. So before you know where you are, if you haven't got your blinking main players away because they want to be here, they want to go away with their girlfriends or whatever, or they're doing this or they're doing that, before you know where you are, the season's gone. If you haven't got your best side out or available, it's gone. But you haven't had the best players to pick from, which you've built your squad and you expect them best players to pick from, but you haven't had it.
Yeah.
So, and the damning thing is as well, not only that, but then you'll come to the back end of the season, right? And I've seen it, and it happened even with us. They don't look at the calendar, so they don't look on ahead and think, if we get to the final of the Edward Case Trophy, what dates are the finals on, roughly? When are they played, roughly, right? When is the FA Vase final played? When are the playoff finals played, if we could be in the playoffs? So what you could do, you could work out all through the season. You could end up getting in the playoffs, but again, your key players aren't available because they go, oh, I didn't realise I booked my holidays. It's just a fucking car crash.
Yeah.
They're not being, it's like amateur.
But
it
all boils down to commitment, though, doesn't it?
Exactly, and it just winds me up, and I just don't get it. And I don't get it, and I'm serious, and I know I'm knocking people, right? I don't get it when managers, there's a team in our league, we played them last week, and blinking manager, well, he can do what he wants, who weren't there, because he were away on holiday. No, fine, if he wants to take his holiday in the football, what commitments he got? I'm not being funny, he can answer that question, but I'm not knocking him. That's his team, and that's what he wants to do. But in my opinion, if it's not right at the top, if the manager's going away, how do you expect players to be disciplined and try and? I don't go away.
Yeah.
I'm committed. I'm committed to the cause. Now, at the end of the day, for me, I don't get it. I've got a situation where I've got a coach that's been away for the last few. It doesn't matter. We've got good coaches at the club.
Yeah, yeah.
He hasn't made any difference.
Yeah, it still functions. Yeah.
But it's still functioning. But he's still been away for not 1 but 3 weeks away. Now we've got a situation. You might ask the situation. Ben Langley has been an ever-present in our team.
I was coming on to that.
Ben Langley's been an ever-present in our team for the last couple of seasons, right? Yeah. And he's every week, you would say that Ben Langley is a steady Eddie 7, 8 every week,
Absolutely.
Right? Nothing absolute spectacular and nothing poor.
Not going to let you down.
Don't let you down, right? Unfortunately, this season we started, and when we started this season, right, at the beginning, because we got an abundance of good quality centre-halves, we decided to have a look at a different shape, which affected his position, theoretically, right? So that were a little bit of setback. But the biggest setback is, I knew he were going away on holiday. Right? I knew he were going away. So what, from a manager's point of view, why do I want to get settled with a player who I think is going to be a steady Eddie 7 every week and in, right? And I'm settled with him and it's all about continuity. But I know that he's going to be going out because he's going away on holiday. So I'm going to have to change it anyway.
So I'll change it now.
So I'll change it now. So that's the reason why. And then yesterday, in that game, I could have easily put him on.
Yeah.
But how would that have looked if I put him on in that game yesterday and he's been sat on bench for the last few games and he picks a bad injury up and he can't get on that flight going on his holiday?
You're going to feel like shit then.
Correct.
So I said to him, save the lad.
I said to him, Ben, I'm going to tell you now, I'm sure you don't want me to put you down while it's bloody pissing down like this anyway.
No, no point, right? Pointless.
But I don't want to put you down because I want you on that flight. Now you're going, I want you on that flight.
And have a good holiday.
I'm not, I'm not going to put you, I don't want you missing that flight now.
We had nothing to gain from putting Ben Langley on that pitch at 2-0 down.
No, but I'm trying to give you my reasons why I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a human being at the end of the day, but I'm here to win games of football. That's my life.
And I want the supporters who watch the show every week to know what's going on, because they would have seen exactly what I saw, Brent. They're going to pick up the team sheet and think straight away, where's Callum Hewitt? Because there's a lot of supporters at the club. He's a great lad, great player. And the first question would have been, where's Callum? And you've just answered it.
And let's be honest, after that blinking Droylston situation and what I've just said at the beginning of this show, where I said we've been running with two technically gifted attacking kind of players and only kind of one that breaks things up, but we're going to revert. I think we need to revert to where we've got 2 on 1. Yeah. Callum would have strongly come in contention because you knew my mindset, because I told you I think we'll have Callum back next week, so he'll come in contention. But then bombshell comes I think it was Tuesday. Still got it on my phone. I'm away again. And I think, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind.
We are fortunate though, and we're all disappointed that Callum wasn't part of it, but we're very fortunate in the fact that we've got Jacob with us now, Jacob Ormrod, and Brady Boardman is so versatile. He could play anywhere.
Yeah, and I thought they did well. I thought, listen, it's been I like.
And then you've got Ryan Siddle who you've thrown into mix it second half. Yeah,
exactly. So there's a situation. Ryan's been itching to get better. Listen, I've had to. It's not just about footballing ability where Ryan is. Ryan he's a young player that's kind of immature sometimes, and he says the wrong things. He's opinionated, and I'm not stupid.
He's very much like you.
But no. What I'm saying, no. What I'm trying to get at is, you can't have. I can't turn around to you and say you're fucking useless at your fucking job, Steve. And I should be doing your job sat there. What am I sat on this bench for? I should be doing your job. He's useless then.
You've got to be diplomatic,
correct. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't let me do the answers, not you. I'm working with these guys.
Yeah.
If he's turning round and saying I'm hearing it at my technical area, my plumber, Davison Band on that club, ask him why he's not at Bacup Borough. Same reason. Byington, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons ago. The biggest two that were kicking off in the dugout, coming out with freaking absolutely tripe, right? And calling their own teammates on the pitch, and I could hear it.
Yeah.
Got it in the changing room after.
I remember it.
Well, them are things I won't put up with.
Yeah. People can have their opinions, but then come to me and talk to me. But don't let it out. Don't let me hear it in a dugout where everybody's hearing. That's how we build. That's how you don't build command shit. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
Comradeship. You don't get it because what he's doing, he's looking at the weak link and going, I can play right back this week, me. That's where I should be playing. He's not good enough. That's your opinion. Keep your opinions to yourself.
Dropping bombs.
Correct. This is what I'm saying. Yeah. It's nothing to do with being opinion. Of course, I'm opinion. You put this show on. You want me to say what my opinion is, why I do something.
Every week.
So that's it. Whether people agree with me or not is another matter. But somebody's got to be the manager. This is what I say about everybody. People must be the manager. Somebody has to make decisions. Somebody has to make decisions even at the top level, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. And there's reasons why people don't get in a team. You've just seen why last week I said it on the show about Garnacho. Why has he left Man United? You aren't privy to what he's like behind the scenes. I'm not privy to what he's like behind the scenes. But somebody who's working with him week in, week out, day in, day out, will see him. And if he's a little shit behind the scenes and dropping little bombs, he needs to go.
Yeah. It's not the ability, it's the attitude.
Correct. They need to go. They need to be out the way. But what I'm trying to say to you is that you've got these players, yes, going back to Ryan, he knows where he stands and he knows what he's got to do. And what he's got to do is work to get back into the team. Now, he's one step nearer now because he's come from the shadow team where he's captained it.
Yeah.
To being in the squad of the first team. So he's one step nearer. Now he's got to be patient because one swallow doesn't make a fucking summer.
Yeah.
So because he's come on in the second half and put in a good performance in the second half, which he has, doesn't guarantee that he'll be in starting lineup next game.
No.
But he'll still be in the squad.
In his cap.
Yeah. But he's got to just be patient and wait, and then from doing it for an half, because he got on a full half, he's got to do that for 90 minutes, but consistently. Right? Now, in terms of Jacob Ormrod, and this is where it's all right, the coaches, this is my point about coaching. It's all right, the coaches, like what I said to you before, where where I'm being judge and jury. So one of my coaches puts a point to me when I say, right, this is the team I'm thinking of going with. And he goes, I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. I can't just necessarily agree with one player. We'll disagree on one player, which we did, right? And I become the judge and jury. But I'm the one that makes the final decision. His point that he made about that one player was not about that he can't unlock doors or anything. He was talking about he will automatically drop off. He won't get close to the main striker, right? His words were exactly right. He was 100% right, as it proved and worked out yesterday. But the fact of the matter is, if you've got a player like that keeps doing that and drops up, what's the coach's job? Is it to turn up on a blinking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night with a bag of balls and just set a drill up and just work with all the team in drills? Or is it to pull players to one side and say, listen, you know, on Saturday, you were picked in this position. Why did you keep dropping when we needed you higher up the pitch and be playing in the final third around that pocket? That is their job, the coaches. That's what a coach does. You follow me? Yeah. That's exactly what they should be doing. But if you see a frailty in a player, you can't just turn around and dismiss him. So if you've brought a Jacob Ormrod, let's say, for instance, a young lad that's come in here that's played all pre-season and done well in pre-season, right? That's come from Radcliffe Borough under 21s, right? And he's done well for us, but you see a little bit of frailties in him, right? Where he's doing little five-a-side passes, that are nothing passes, or he's not got his distances right, or he's not really. He's kind of, it's a cup half full, and it's a cup half empty.
You've got to look at fixing it.
What are you going to just dismiss him? Are you going to talk to him? Them coaches should be talking to him, because I see that. Well, I'll tell you straight, what the coaches don't know. I've had one-to-ones with him last 2 weeks on the phone. But I'm not a coach, I'm the manager. But that's a coach's job.
Yeah.
So my point is,
you've been seeing things, writing it down, and then in order to try and improve things, you've been addressing it with the player.
Correct. I don't need a training ground.
No.
I pick a phone up and he understands the game. So I tell him. I told him yesterday, before I told him Friday, and I put a message out to him, you need to ring me, I need to speak to you. Because I've made my mind up. I'll be straight here. I'll be perfectly honest and straight. And if he's listening, he'll get it. If Callum Hewitt would have been available, Callum Hewitt would have been in and Jacob would have been on the bench. And that's nothing to do with Jacob or anything he's done. He's going to be a player.
Yeah.
He's going to be a terrific player, because one thing about Jacob, he is a very, 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 very fit lad.
Yes. Yeah.
He's fit. He will get round that pitch.
He reminds me of, Brent, and a very young, and you might, I don't know if you agree or not, but a young Gary Stopforth.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Puts himself about, and Gary went on to have a fantastic career and still fit as a fiddle in his mid-30s.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Well, Jacob, you look at him, listen, this is what I say about a lot of clubs. And I'm not here, I'm just talking about football in general. I'm not here to knock other clubs or anything. I'm here to tell how I see it. They'll see a player at Bacup Borough, and I'll just use this. Oh, he looks like a good player and all that. We'll go and put 7 days in and take him. Are they coaching him? Are they developing him? No, they're not. So he'll go straight in the team, and if he doesn't produce, like, let's take an Ollie Hodgson a minute. If he doesn't produce, before you know it, he's ousted. Yeah, and before you know it, that kid will be out playing on Townley Park on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't happen at Bacup Borough. We continue to develop. We might take him out. We might sit him on the bench. We might take him out. We might let him play in the shadow squad. We will continue to coach him. We will continue to develop him. We will continue to make him a better player. Right? But he's got to be patient, and he's got to be in that situation. I openly in the changing room yesterday talked about what I said, and the player in question, as I'm building up, and he knew I were talking about him without naming him.
Yeah.
I said, I've analysed them goals against Droylsden, and I said, and one player in particular in that shape has to do a lot of defending. And the player in question who wanted to come back to Bacup Borough, I said, I would only bring you back to Bacup Borough, but you won't be playing as a defender because you can't fucking defend, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Now, I know this player has gone to clubs like Nelson, Steeton, Corn, whatever. They probably haven't said anything like that. They've just dismissed him.
No.
But then I said, I've seen your ability
Going forward.
I've seen your quality that you deliver at the top end of the pitch. So if you want to come back, you can come back, because I didn't go chasing him.
No.
You can come back, but you'll be challenging for the top end of the pitch, not at the back. Right? Now, he thought, because I was saying this in my team talk yesterday, he weren't going to start yesterday, but he did start yesterday, but he started.
He's played in every game.
Exactly. But this is what I'm trying to say, because this is how I am. I'm trying to make players better.
Yeah.
Right? I used to do, because I didn't used to have, I used to have Andy Hill, experienced coach, Dave Felgate, Andy Hill, experienced player that went on to coach. Dave Felgate, experienced player that went on to coach. Right? Apart from a lad from Borough called Andy Barlow, but Andy Barlow wasn't in the same league as Andy Hill, and you know what I'm saying? But he did a job for me and he was a coach. But apart from them, if they weren't around doing it, I would do the coaching, or I would give a senior player his head and let a senior player take coaching as part of build up to go for the coaching badges. Yeah. That's what I do. So it's not the be all and end all of having coaches at your club, right? Because there's ways and means. I feel at the minute we have got excellent coaches at our club. Coaches that want to learn, coaches that love what they do. I'm here to support them. I give them the red. I don't micromanage. Wednesday night when I were having a shitter with my business and everything else, I knew that they'd be in good hands. Yeah. And they went and took them on Wednesday night, which was Ryan and Alan. Fantastic.
And that's a good place to be, isn't it, as a manager?
Correct. But what I'm trying to say, and this isn't knocking them, what I'm trying to say is what you can't do is when me and say Ryan are having a discussion about a player, you can have that discussion and that's right, but what you can't do is dismiss somebody for the frailties. It's because it's up to us to ensure that as coaches and managers that we improve their frailties. Yeah. And they understand what we expect them to do. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, going back to the situation we had on Saturday, he was exactly right how it panned out, and that's why I got frustrated a little bit, and that's why I made the change. And I left it till half time, but was adamant I was going to make the change. Ryan was 100% right in what he was saying. Yeah. But my point being, the lad has got good ability. So if we want him to operate in that area, it's up to the coaches, because they're spending more time. They spend more time with the players than I do. Yeah. I manage them. They spend more time, and it's the same at any level of football. The manager doesn't spend the time with the players. The coaches spend more time with the players. And
the players' positives outweigh the negatives of his game.
Yeah, so the coaches, what I'm trying to say is, if you've got players that aren't really the cup, like we go back to the Jacob Armrob, where he's come in and he's not really been coached at this level. I think he's been loaned to Corn in the past and he's played at Corn, but I'm telling you now, he wouldn't have got anybody coaching at Corn.
Played 2 games. Yeah.
So So what I'm saying is, he's now coming to us, and now I would like to think he's kind of learning the game now.
Yeah.
And then he understands. So if we just let him play like he's been playing and running around and blinking, putting a foot in nice and gently here and there and doing little five-a-side passes and stuff like that, which I think are just freaking neither use nor ornament.
Yeah, no real purpose.
There's no real purpose. Then for me, do you just take him out and say, well, I'm sorry, he's going in ahead of you, or do you develop him and make him aware and make him a better player? I think it's the second one. You develop him and make him a better player, and that comes down to what the coaches have got to do. That, right? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. So with Jacob, because Callum, I'll be honest, and I come back to what I was saying before. If Callum had been available, because he's the tried and trusted, I would have gone with Callum. But Callum's shot is selling the foot again because he's another setback where he hasn't been available. So the second best, and that's being disrespectful to Jacob, the second best at the minute, because he's been around us all season and pre-season, because I can imagine Ryan saying, well, but Ryan hasn't been around us all pre-season. He don't forget, Ryan last year freaking shafted us big time because he went to Thailand just after Christmas. Freaking stupid. I don't forget him like an elephant. I don't forget these things.
I know. And he couldn't get it back in after that.
And he couldn't get back in. So the thing is, I have a loyalty a little bit to Jacob in terms of he's the next best thing that we've got that's been around the team. But he needs improving because at the minute he's a cup half full and half empty. So I had a chat with him on the phone and spoke to him and told him. And I thought yesterday, to be fair to him, from a bit of a shaky, probably first 10 minutes, he settled in. Sorry?
The second half was very good. I thought he played well in the second half.
Yeah, but that also comes from other players around him stamping their authorities.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the Nelson game, the way they set up, and they're a spare man, so they were always a man over us in midfield. Not one leader on that pitch that dropped a fucking striker in to pick that linking midfield player up.
No.
It's simple transaction. So what happened were in Jacob's defence, he's between a brick and an hard rock. He's got a man and he's got another man stood there with nobody on him.
Yeah.
So he's
doing double the running.
So he's doubling up and he's dogging between two people. I remember a few seasons back when Ben Langley made his debut at Bacup, right? And the freaking fans behind the goal were slaughtering him because he was freaking. But I'm saying, hang on, why are they slaughtering Ben? He's got doubled up.
Yeah.
Why are you not having a go at the blinking 7 out of the 11? Who's not freaking tracked his man back?
Yeah. True.
You know what I mean?
Quickly, our friend, or I won't say you two IC, your secretary, Simon Holden. Don't worry, guys. The Spanish saviour.
The last thing I need when I've been on all this shit recently, believe me, when I've been on all this shit recently, is Simon breathing down my neck.
Viva España.
The club will be open, Simon. Don't you worry. It will be open any day soon. It will be beautiful. Everything will be sorted. Don't you worry. Everything will be right. It'll be great to see you. But and I will give you something here. I thought Burnley were robbed. I felt for last week against Liverpool. I felt for for manager. I really did. When they got that in injury time, that penalty.
Yeah. One more thing. I better give this a mention. Talking football. It's Tuesdays, weather permitting, and that is 2 p.m. through till 4 p.m. at the stadium. And just a great opportunity for those to get together, talking, having a chat.
The coordinator of that needs to be blinking, going out, selling, getting new sponsors in. Never mind talking football, or else there'll be no walking. Or else there'll be no talking football. There'll be no club.
Oh dear. Anyway, Brent, anything more to add before we wrap up this week's show?
I don't know. What do you want to ask me?
No, I think we've covered most of it. Oh, Wednesday night, 7:45. We head to Liverpool. I don't think have we played these before? MSB Woolston, or is it their first time at this level?
I think it sounds like a load of jailers from Lincoln Prison.
Yeah, Woolston.
Probably alt screws.
Selmore Cage.
Yeah, probably alt screws. Listen, I haven't got a clue about it. All I know is we want 3 points, and but we're having to play on that bleeding plastic pitch. Not only a plastic pitch. Listen, I have got nothing against the team, the club. I have got nothing against South Liverpool. Fantastic people, love them to bits. The manager of South Liverpool rang me after we played Glossop. I'll give him a rundown. I'm sorry, Glossop. I know that I have a soft spot for you guys as well. But he rang me up, and I give him a rundown about Glossop, and they turned up at Glossop and beat Glossop. So I'd like to think I contributed well towards that. Yeah. But what I'm going to say is, I'm sorry I'm saying this, these plastic pitches that are in blinking council facilities that are really only sports centres, right? So you're playing behind fencing. It's just
soulless.
It's rubbish. Yeah. It's rubbish. But it is what it is.
We've got to go there and try and get 3 points.
And you've got to give yourself plenty of time, because the traffic lights that you hit, Josh Wall will understand this. I'm going to give him a reminder. Last time we played, Josh Wall played here for Bacup Borough. He was late, and I was looking at my watch about getting in the changing rooms on time. And he said to me, I've been sat at them traffic lights for ages, and they were on blinking red. They were changing. Well, make allowances for them traffic lights, right? We don't want anybody late on Wednesday night.
Don't do what Brent Peters does and gets to the Rocket and then has to go around twice.
Yeah, well, that's another story. But in the main, touch wood, I'm never usually late. I'm not late. I'm always, because I give myself plenty of time.
Yeah.
So make sure you give yourself plenty of time, because it will be a 7:45 kickoff. So that means that we will be meeting at 6:15 latest. And on that note, have a nice weekend, what's remaining of it. Make sure, tell Mrs. Brown to keep off them new mail shows, that because she wanted I'm going to let a secret out. Mrs. Brown wanted a new pillar. Well, I said to Steve, well, if she wants a new pillar, that means she wants a new man. So on that note, Mrs. Brown, I hope you enjoyed your new pillar last night, and I hope you enjoyed your wine gums.
Silent night. Best one's going. See you later.
See you later, mate.